Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Darcy and Stacey. Let's get to the show.
Grandpa brought the kids to the movies last night.
I know. They had fun. He likes to take them to the movies when he's here.
Oh, it's nice to be with family.
Hey.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Dad.
Oh, we got you little treats, Mike.
What is that?
He likes this. He likes beef jerky.
Beef.
Later.
No, you don't eat beef jerky? I saw him
No,
chewing on that
right.
once.
When?
11 o'clock in the morning. I'm not into beef jerky.
All right. I'm reading a lot into this because this is one of the very first times we've seen the mom and the dad interacting. That is the biological mom, right? They don't talk with her very much. We've heard from the dad a lot. We just saw a tiny little glimpse. Who knows if this is indicative of the broader relationship, but I can't help it. In that the mom is trying to serve him, and he's very, in that moment, like, yeah, it's okay. Thanks anyway. Not very appreciative. I don't know what that means, but if that is a larger pattern, we might be able to extrapolate from that a little bit. Let's continue watching.
Actually, beef
I'll
jerky
eat it in
is
the
hot
afternoon, but
keto.
not in the morning.
You're funny. You and your beef jerky. My mom, she's amazing. She just wants to please everybody, I feel. She loves to feed. She loves to talk about food. And I really admire her for what she's done for her family. She's stayed the rock.
Okay, great. I always love getting more background information. I don't know what that means. Again, this pleaser attitude, that can mean a lot of different things. The two things that I'm looking for are the two options I'm trying to figure out between is, was the mother very pleasing, but also relaxed enough and loving enough so that she could listen to someone and not always forcefully try to please everyone around her? Was the mom able to speak her own voice? Or was the mom so desperate to please that she never really pleased anyone, and she was very upset often and was only happy if you were allowing her to please you, which isn't really a loving, close relationship. You're just like, okay, thanks for beef jerky. You're great. And then the mom goes off and is proceeding to try to please everyone else around her, instead of real contact. I wonder about the way it was for Darcy and Stacey and their brother who passed away when they were young. What was the dad very standoffish? Did he work a lot? And very macho, if you will? Was the mom running around trying to please everyone, but never really sitting down and listening? Because Darcy actually kind of did that. The Darcy and Jesse episode was just so strange. It's hard to evaluate that. But her and Tom, and now her and Georgie, it has that vibe to it where very pleasing. Darcy is trying to be very, in the beginning of the relationship, that just extreme pleasing behaviors. Now, on one hand, that can go okay if the person can receive it. Tom didn't receive it well, though. After a while, you're just like, I don't really trust the things you're saying because we're just at a simple dinner and you're talking about how in awe you are of me and the dinner. It's just like, it's just me. We're just at a dinner. It seems weird to me. Can you please tone it down? Just stop it. Because it can, one, raise the expectations for people. They're just like, you're in such awe of me. I feel, and I think Tom even said, I feel like I have to constantly amaze you all the time. Can't we just have a normal time? The other thing is it can come across as not genuine, because people can start to think, well, if you're amazed with this, how could you possibly be amazed with this right now? And you seem to be idolizing me and not really seeing me for who I am. It's hard to trust you in this moment. Can you just interface with me? Can you just actually have a conversation with me? Good old flawed me, and not be in awe of me. I'm a human being. I want to be treated like a fellow human being, not a god. And so I wonder if that has its roots in the way that the mom treats the dad. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation here, but I'm always looking for stuff like this, and I'm glad we're at least getting some data.
Where's the beef? You had a piece, right there.
Oh, well, you should have told me. Is it off now?
Save it for later.
Okay. Save it for later.
My mom, I feel like deep down inside, she still secretly loves my dad. They were divorced when we were about 12, but they get along great now.
Okay, So they aren't together right now, and she secretly loves him still, according to Darcy. Good information. I don't know what that says about anything, but let's continue watching.
Relationships and lost
You've had
focus.
a lot of changes and a lot of.
But I'm ready. I feel geared up and, more empowered now. I think taking a trip to LA next week with Stacey and bring Florian.
You know my feeling on LA, right?
Well, because you don't like LA, because you don't like LA.
All right, so let's look at the various different ways in which someone can react and contrast it with the way that they are reacting. He could have said, "Oh, tell me more. You're a grown woman." I think Darcy is in her mid to late 40s. I don't know how old she is. So she's a grown woman. She can figure things out for herself. You can ask her, of just like, "Oh, tell me more. What would you like to do?" Or another reaction might be something like, "Well, honey, I'm glad for you, but you know how I feel about this sort of thing. I'm worried about you. I'm going to miss you because I live around here, but you're free to do what you want, of course." So those are just two other options off the top of my head. What we saw was his reaction. Now, maybe he'll branch off into other areas, but let's rewind and watch his reaction again.
I think taking a trip to LA next week with Stacey and bring Florian.
You know my feeling on LA, right?
Well, because you don't like LA, because you don't like LA. We can look for apartments. I have enough to get there. I just feel like now is the time.
My level of involvement in House of 11 was as an investor and as an advisor. We had a good degree of success. We got into stores, but then their level of interest and involvement started to wane. And that's when things started to go down.
All right, a little bit more data, at least from him, saying that their interest waned and they, the business failed somehow. He was an investor. It sounds like he has some feelings about that, of maybe he put in a lot of effort too. He obviously put in some money. So, he has some feelings about that. That always complicates things when you mix investing and money with relationships and families. It always can complicate things because he might have a legitimate business gripe of, "Look, you made all these promises, I invested all this money, and then you just gave up at a certain point when we were on our way up, and I lost a lot of money, and I feel hurt by that. I feel upset about that." It's like, how do you tease that out of a situation like this? Now, what we're seeing from him is resting disapproval face instead of expressing how he feels, instead of expressing more vulnerability, more rationality, really, of why he's saying those things. Something along the lines of, "Honey, I'm glad for you. I hope things work out, but I just have to tell you, I have a lot of worries because last time, and I invest a lot of money, and I guess I still have some resentment around that. And I know you put a lot of work into it, and I know you worked hard, but I kind of felt like you dropped the ball, and I ended up losing a lot of money, and I put a lot of effort into that thing. And now you're going to go back and pick it up where you left off and do it for 2 years and then give up on it after 2 years? I'm just worried that that's going to happen again. I'm also worried I'm going to get asked again to invest, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with that this time." Just elaborate. It's okay to express yourself.
Ability to tell them no when they need to be told no.
Yeah, well, that's normal life for everybody. That works. Not everyone's a stay-at-home mom. They make it work. And that's, the kind of mom I want to be. I want to show my girls that they can stay empowered and feel worthy for themselves. And the girls were excited when we talked about it. They have good heads on their shoulders and they make great grades. I'll be there for them. My dad wants the best for me and my girls and for me and Stacey, but I feel like he regrets the fact that he wasn't always there for us as kids.
Interesting. So a little bit more data. Something that I suspected. I don't remember what my suspicion was precisely, but I had a suspicion that there was some complication between Darcy and the father's relationship. So maybe we'll get more information on this.
Maybe that's where part of this is coming from.
As a grandfather and as a father, the love of my granddaughters, that's the most important thing for me. Right. You know that.
I know.
I'm really going to miss you all.
I know. Me too. My number one priority is my daughters. And I know for him, he feels the same way for me and my sister. And no matter how much my dad hates LA, I know that he'll always be there for us. He always has and he always will.
All right. So it sounds like it resolved. I kind of wish there was a little bit more data for me. I'm just curious as to what their childhood was like more. Maybe we'll find out more as the season progresses.
You can't really fail when you follow, your heart and your gut and what you're passionate about.
I don't think yet that Darcy has a well thought out plan. She's got desire, she works hard, but Darcy's not a planner. I will support as much as I can, but I won't be investing.
You have my love, you have my support.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Dad. Oh, gosh. This coach.
So it's interesting, the dynamic, because I have to say, I have a relationship with my dad. My dad's a lovely person. And whenever I've made a business decision, it's never been like this dynamic where my dad comments about the decisions I'm making. He just says, "Oh, interesting. You're doing what now? Oh, okay. That sounds interesting." So that's one dynamic, which is better. I'm not going to comment on, but this dynamic is particular in that the dad still seemed like he was being treated like and possessed the role of like the man on high who approves and disapproves and, well, okay, then I'm satisfied now. You have my support. And maybe that's the way that he expresses his love. Maybe that's how Darcy feels like she's being loved by paid attention to. Maybe she wants that dynamic. But it is notable. I don't know what it means exactly, but let's continue watching.
We wish you luck.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Do your plan.
Oh, yeah. Plan first.
Plan.
And very notable that Mom said nothing. And no one asked Mom's opinion for anything. Just want to point that out. That Mom has just as much life experience and presumably just as much intelligence as the father, and yet no one asked her anything, and she didn't say anything.
It's not like we're the same person, but Stacey and I have always done so many things together, all different times of our lives. We even worked together at Hooters. We were Hooters girls. That was fun in New York. In Manhattan, too. Yeah, that was a big deal. It was fun. Yeah, we owned that at the time. We were just like loving it. We made good tips, signed little autographs. That was in college. See, that's when we kind of came out of our shell, was in college. We wanted to be like the Hooters calendar girls, but we never made it. Actually, we did. We did a calendar in Texas.
Okay, a little bit more data. I'm not going to pathologize it, but it is notable that they've told us that they were nerds and ignored when they were kids. They moved around from school to school, and they were rejected, and they only had each other. And it sounds like maybe they also didn't like each other sometimes. Who knows? But they certainly have a tense relationship at times now. Maybe they did when they were younger. But anyway, they were nerds. They said their hair was bad. They looked bad. Their fashion was bad. They go to college, and they work at Hooters. And they get a lot of attention, and they step into that role. And what is it that is giving them a lot of attention is a certain kind of male gaze, if you will. There's nothing wrong with getting attention that way. There's nothing wrong with blossoming in that way. But you could see how it would affect your personality, can't you? It would affect the way that you saw yourself. It would affect the way that you saw in your strengths and your weaknesses. It would affect the way that you wanted to live your life. And it just makes me wonder if that had a very formative role in how they develop their personality and also how they develop their own sense of self-esteem. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with building self-esteem regarding how you look and even how you look in a Hooters uniform. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that's the only thing you have self-esteem in, then you don't have the flexibility when you have other needs to be seen in another way. So I wonder if that's a role. It's interesting. Let's rewind that because they're just breezing past it, but I think that's a pretty important detail to their history.
Teach people about the new numbered meals. It's like, welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order, please? Would you like to try one of our new extra value meals today? We have a number 1, 2 cheeseburgers, medium fry, medium Coke. And number 2 is a Big Mac, medium fry, medium Coke. And number 3 is chicken nuggets, medium fry, medium Coke. They actually gave me tips.
Oh,
So it must have been good.
Drive-through?
Oh, yeah. How do you think I went shopping all the time?
Okay, so we just learned another little detail there about Darcy getting tips at the McDonald's. Nothing wrong with that. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle, in which I watch Darcy and Stacey and see if anything of interest comes out of my face. I hope at least something of interest came out of my face today. Let me know in the comments what, if anything, did, or if nothing did. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.